All right, here's a new little segment. I guess right now I'm kind of tentatively calling it free comic book script reviews. And I have asked my partner in crime over at Turbo Pit Fighter, Jake Jacobs, to come over and do a read through and edit on my first free comic script. And what that means is I'll have this up on cromthebarbarian.com. You'll be able to download it and then use it as a jumping off point, obviously, in getting into pencils. If you want to take it through inking, that's a whole nother thing. If there's a possibility of me inking it, that could come along. But it all goes into the collaboration part that I've been asking people to become a part of. So I figured I would start putting together a couple of scripts that I've been having ideas about. This one's called The Devil from the Fjord. It's not about CROM the Barbarian. It is about Vikings, and a fjord is, where the Vikings would live in Norway and Denmark and Scandinavia and all that kind of Iceland and everything. But it has my favorite twist to a story, which is that O. Henry or that Twilight Zone kind of thing. But 8 pages, all written out and ready to go. Jake, thank you for taking the time in doing this. I always appreciate your editing skills and your helping me punch up a script where I'm working on my own. So and I'm hoping this will also be a little bit of an enlightenment for people on how to approach writing a script as well. So trying to figure this out, stick with it. We'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm happy to help. Kurt and I are doing a sci-fi post-apocalyptic comic together. I know that Kurt is just like swept away with Sword and Sorcery and CROM the Barbarian. I'm happy to help him. We kind of did some art direction before, which is
Right.
writing and pictures. But something that we're doing in our Turbo world is we are coming up with free scripts, and this is a new thing for me, but it's going on in these comic collabs where a
Yeah.
writer just offers up a free script but puts it out there to anybody and everybody, and see what comes back. Sometimes it can create magic. If you get lucky, you get a good combination of creators. And if not, then it's still getting the writer's name out there, and it's still giving exposure. I think it's a model that I'm interested in trying out, and I'm happy to help Kurt punch up this script here. I haven't seen any of this before. I'm just hearing all this fresh. As far as I knew, this was a CROM story, but there's gonna be some other characters. We're gonna dive right in, and we're gonna start marking this thing up, and we're gonna start. This is just gonna be very fresh first blush reaction for me, and let's see if we can make some magic happen. Starting out with page 1, splash page, Call of the Sea. That means the whole page is just one panel. It says, the view is from the sea looking on the village. The main 3 characters are in the foreground, all else is in the background. A sweeping establishing shot of a Viking fjord. A fjord is a long, narrow inlet of the sea that is flanked by steep cliffs or mountains, typically created by the glacial erosion of a valley. Fjords are often deep and can extend far inland with dramatic and picturesque landscapes. All right, so what I would do is, just so you don't lose people here, I would make this all italic in the brackets here, because if somebody already knows what a fjord is, they can skip that.
They can
I think
jump.
I
Yeah.
think it's valuable to have it in there just in case. But
Yep.
you want to differentiate that just in visual language. Um, the scene captures life in this coastal village. Smoke rises from longhouses, children play near the water, and men work on their ships. The fjord is flanked by steep cliffs with pine trees climbing up the slopes. In the foreground, Sigvald, old and graying but commanding, and Thorstein, young, strong, and watchful, stand near a small fishing boat on the rocky beach. The vulva, a weathered seer wrapped in animal pelts, stands with her staff. Is this a real word in Nordic? The vulva?
Vulva.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
seer. So it's a like.
So a female seer, like a tribal elder or something?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Stands with her staff raised toward the sea. The water is beyond calm, but foreboding, mirroring the vulva's warning. So I would try to give some idea of age of this character if the artist is designing the character right here on the first page.
Mm-hmm.
Usually an artist will do some character design studies on a scrap page first. On the scripts that I'm going to be providing, I might even, give them some character studies, as kind of like a head start. That could also come into question when it comes later on to who designed these characters, but I don't think you have to worry about those things unless you have a runaway hit on your hands. So I would not advise anybody to get bogged down in that. Write your script, put it out there, and see. So yeah, stands with her staff raised toward the sea. The water beyond is calm but foreboding, mirroring the vulva's warning. Okay, so she stands with her staff raised towards the sea, and we're viewing this from the sea. So we're looking frontally at her, and she's raising our staff towards us, the viewer, right?
Yes.
So I would say that toward us, the viewer. She's not going to be too big if this is a big establishing shot, right? So I think between Sigvald, Thorstein, and Volva, you're going to have to decide how big are they going to be? Are they going to be ants on this page? And
Yeah, but that's the artist's responsibility.
right. But if you're saying in the foreground here, that means do you really want to establish them? Do you want to show them here, or are you showing like
Yep.
the sweeping view? Oh, you do want to,
Well, the
right?
sweeping view is behind them. It's just that background. You know what I mean? You got two big mountain cliffs on either side that then go into this like cul-de-sac, and then behind them that they're ready to launch their little boat, fishing boat. Behind is just all this long houses and smoke billowing and people running
Right.
around
So I would maybe underline this for a little bit of up top here. The main three
yeah.
characters are in the foreground, right? Just underline that. That's what
Okay.
I would.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Moving on. Narration box. It began with a warning. The Volva spoke of a daughter of the deep, a creature who would bring either ruin or redemption to Sigvald's Fjord. All right, and we've met Sigvald already. So he's old and graying but commanding, and so I'm already getting the feeling that he's the leader of the area, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's being conveyed just through this one sentence here. Dialogue word balloon. Beware the daughter of Aegir, Sigvald. The sea stirs and she calls for you. Glory or ruin awaits. Okay, so this is fine. You're setting this up, but you're kind of like just releasing information a little bit at a time, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. I would maybe just, if since this is the first thing, maybe you want to have this is up to you. Any kind of like instructions on is the vulva is going to be like old and not like attractive. I would.
It's up to the artist. The script as it is loose for interpretation. Like you've already plugged into, making character designs. I want them to really leap off of it. This is a what I refer to as like a CROM centric story. So it's basically padding CROM's world without CROM having to be directly involved, because
Right.
CROM is basically in the Viking mythology, the Norse mythology world, Midgard, and all those that kind of stuff, and then it goes fantasy. So that's it. So this has as real as Vikings were and how they went about it. This is definitely even taking from like the TV show Vikings, that same kind of like play on
Right.
story. But the sparseness is on purpose, though I'm not trying to hold my ground too much on it. But I do not want to force interpretation, because I found in the past that if I think I direct you this way a bit, you might still want to just go that way, which I'm fine with. I want to see just a whole otherworldly kind of like
Yeah.
interpretation of it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's because
So,
the one concern I have is I'm hoping multiple people download this and start working on it. Now I'm not going to do any kind of like contest where the best one wins and I ink it, or the best one that's already completed gets published. I want to try to deal with each one of them as they come to me through CROM the Barbarian and the CROM Update podcast, to help develop not only the CROM world, but the artist that's contributing to the collaboration.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a million ways you could interpret this. I'm seeing this as an artist, and I would want to try just already just to take that one little narration here and say there's a warning, and try to make this like building tension. Try to make this like
Oh,
foreboding.
absolutely.
Yeah. Um. So we're on page 2, 4 panels. So what's fishing in the catch? What does that mean?
These were just sort of notes I was using to kind of like plot. I guess they call them beats, story beats. So I wanted each page to kind of like beat their way along to the end. I have a tendency to meander a lot when I write,
Okay.
and I think everything is really good. But if it doesn't fit that page, then it's going to get chucked out. So I just was
Yeah.
like,
I
okay,
mean,
this is where they're gonna get together, and then they're gonna be fishing, and they'll catch.
okay. So right, I would either put that into the description, or because right now I'm confused. Do you want this to be a banner? Do you want this to be a title?
Okay, okay.
So and so either integrate that into the dialogue or the description, or the narration. But let's see what we got here as a visual. Sigvald and Thorstein rowed their small fishing boat into the fjord. The water is eerily calm, reflecting the dark gray clouds overhead. Thorstein's face is determined as he rows, while Sigvald watches the water uneasily. Okay, nothing wrong with that. The Sigvald narration says, Sigvald, our chieftain, laughed at the warning, but I, Thorstein, his sworn companion, could not shake the feeling that something waited for us in the water. All right, I would just take those and make that a triple dot, an ellipsis, instead of a hard period right there. I also wonder, do you want to kind of like ancientize some of the dialogue?
That's up to them. That would be up to them.
Well, no, the dialogue is written in stone. Um,
But yeah, both figuratively and fictitiously, right?
so right, so there was one. There was what, right? That's where they comes from. So there was one dialogue balloon on the first page. Beware the daughter of Aegir, Sigvald. The sea stirs, and she calls for you. Glory or ruin awaits. That's kind of poetically, ancient. Maybe instead of "and she calls for you," you wanted to, maybe take out the "and." The sea stirs. ... She calls for you. Right. Just to make it a little
Yeah.
more poetic. But here, Sigvald, our chieftain, laughed at the warning, but I, Thorstein, his sworn companion, maybe take out the his. I, Thorstein, sworn companion. could not shake the feeling that something waited for us in the water. That sounds like somebody from today speaking. So that's something. So I would punch that up and just try to bring it. Have some ye's and some thys and stuff in there. Sworn companion. Could not. I mean, that's what I was talking about. Listening to House of Dragon the other day, Game of Thrones. Like they use this very flowery old language to bring you into the period. So I would maybe you could even probably just run that through ChatGPT and get the exact same meaning, and maybe it brings people back. So that's what I would do there. I can't think of exactly the words right now, but
no, I get you.
The fishing net pulls taut with sudden force. Both men spring into action. Sigvald, despite his age, grips the rope with surprising strength, while Thorstein braces the boat. What in Odin's name have we caught? So you need an exclamation point there. Maybe exclamation and question mark. A whale, perhaps. Pull with me, boy. Mayhaps. Perhaps, mayhaps. Panel 3. Focus panel larger than others. The boat is... Hopefully they're reading ahead. The boat... Right? You don't want to...
Well, I have heard people not do it this way. I've heard artists actually take it from word to word and draw everything out as they're being things are being revealed to them. But as I have always worked from somebody else's script, I always read it once or twice just ahead of time, make notes in the margin, that type of things. Might be questions I would want to bounce back before I actually went, ahead. And then, of course, be wrong. Then the writer is like, dude, that's not what I was looking for. You know what I mean? So there is a little bit of professionalism that comes with reading it through one time. So I'm totally assuming that. I might even have to put that in the download, is like, be sure to read this once, not just start drawing, that kind of thing.
Right. This might be obvious, but where it says 4 panels, don't just draw a cross on the mid-center of the...
I was thinking the same thing. Right.
Okay, focus panel larger than others. The boat is I would say splash panel, right? Because focus panel sounds like maybe there's more detail in it or something. The boat is violently dragged across the fjord. Waves crash against its sides, nearly swamping it. So if the boat is violent, it doesn't say what is dragging it. Is this kind of like a force or something?
Yeah, it's like some like big fish, a whale or something, has gotten a hold of their net, and so it's pulling the boat.
Okay, so something. So for now, all we know is something unseen violently drags the boat across the fjord.
Yep.
Okay, I would say it that way so that the artist can portray it that way. Like, we don't know what it is yet, but we're getting violently dragged across the fjord. Waves crash against its side, nearly swamping it. Sigvald and Thorstein strain to hold the line as the net pulls them towards deeper waters. Okay, so they've netted something.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe you want to write netted instead of caught. That's a possibility.
Okay.
In the previous one, right? That just gives some clarity, reinforcement here. To hold on as the net pulls them towards deeper. All right, so hold the line. That's kind of just like a general phrase. Yeah. I would just say hold the net.
Okay.
To hold the net as it pulls them towards deeper, as they are pulled towards deeper waters. As they are pulled towards deeper waters. Narration. It was as if the fjord itself had come alive to claim us. For hours we struggled against its pull. So this narration box is Sigford, whatever. right?
No, that's just a narration box. No, that's nobody speaking.
It says us.
Huh?
It says it was as if the fjord itself had come alive to claim us. For hours we.
Oh! I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that's Thorstein.
Okay, so he's in
The whole story is from Thorstein's point of view.
right,
So
but
all his that's that.
so later on, so that means he survives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The boat panel 4. The boat steadies as the net loosens. The two men pull it in, their faces filled with exhaustion, but also determination. All right. Here, I'm thinking you want to focus on the faces and maybe not even see the boat, right? This way you can kind of like vary your views and your camera angles.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Dial. Right, because you could also see the expressions on their faces, right? And this is the first time you're seeing any close up, right? So we're on page 2, panel 4. The dialogue. Right. So word balloon. So yeah, this is confusing. I would just write Sigvald. Everybody knows it's a word balloon. If you just write Sigvald with a colon, it's weak, and you don't need the quotation marks, right? Or I mean, if you could do that, you can do it, but I don't know if that's necessary. It's weakening. Pull harder, Thorstein. We'll haul it aboard, but they still don't know what it is, right?
Yep.
All right. Maybe you want to allude to that. We'll haul this thing aboard, or maybe just somehow reinforcing that they still don't know what it is, because the reader might
Well,
think.
that's what it doesn't it describe it. So if you're a fisherman and you're going out fishing and you have a huge caught in the net, that's a positive.
Right.
I'm thinking. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh shit, we got, the whole day is going to be done as soon as we get this thing dragged onto the boat. We could just, that's what the village will eat instead of like trying to get 35 fish, a couple crabs or whatever in your net. Like, this is a good catch. So the it is undetermined.
So it's weakening. Pull harder, Thorsten. We can haul it aboard. All right, but we still don't know what it is. I mean, I'm just assuming that this is going to be something besides a fish, right?
We hope so.
Right. Okay. Page 3, 5 panels, introducing Eydis. Panel 1, focus panel, larger than others. They haul their catch aboard. A havfrue, a mermaid-like creature. Her long seaweed-like hair clings to her body. Her green eyes glowing faintly. All right. I would say light green eyes glowing faintly, because if this is going to end up black and white, it's really no help to say green, right? But if you say light green, then they'll draw.
I always like that though. I like that in black and white comics is to describe a color, and then the reader has to imply that color.
Yeah.
They have to use their imagination to contribute to the story.
Right. Well, maybe this is my artistic interpretation. I would write light green, because then they would draw the eyes lighter rather than.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
Okay. All right. Her lower half, like a fish, glistens eerily in the dim. So maybe you need to. So her lower half, it has scales like a fish, right? Or yeah,
It's a
or
mermaid.
it's a
Half
mermaid,
woman,
right?
half fish. Yeah, it's a mermaid.
So sometimes it's scales, sometimes it's ridges, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Glistens eerily in the dim light. It doesn't say anything about her expression. Can we see her face? Are we purposely not seeing it?
It's just a thing. It's a mermaid thing. It's not identifiable yet, like as a character or anything. It would be like literally hauling a fish that has the top half being. That's what I'm implying. Hopefully, that the artist basically uses that to not amplify, let's say the sexual aspect of it. It's just a fish that they've hauled up.
Right.
The story's moving along.
Are we getting a good look at her face in this splash panel 1?
No.
Okay, so
I would not. I personally would, and I would have the seaweed covering her face and everything.
okay, so her long seaweed-like hair conceals her face and clings to her body. By the gods, it is no fish. It's no fish. What is this thing? Here again, I would ancient that up.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure you could get some references for that and ancient it up.
Oh yeah. ChatGPT, baby.
Yeah. She is a gift from Aegir, a blessing for our village. Right, so maybe verily, I'm just thinking of my Thor days. Verily, this is a gift from Aegir, a blessing for our village. Panel 2. Sigvald carries the Hafru into the village. So they're out of the boat?
Yeah. So they've gotten back.
Okay, on foot, Sigvald carries the Hafru into the village. Maybe you see the boat. Maybe you see the boat parked in the back, right?
Yep.
Okay, and so the on foot, boat behind, or boat in background. Villagers watch from a distance, whispering fearfully. Thorstein follows reluctantly, glaring at the creature. The sky is overcast, adding to the ominous mood. Good. That's how you set it up. Narration. Sigvald named her Eydis after a goddess of the sea. Is that a real goddess?
Yeah.
Okay. After the goddess of the sea. He saw her as a gift. I saw her as a curse. So that's two different things. I think we need a transition there. So, but I saw her as a curse. Or however, or maybe you want to make this a little more poetic and foreboding and what are they called? Foreshadowing. Do we know why he saw her as a curse, or is this just introducing the idea?
Yes, just introducing the idea.
Right. He saw her as a gift, but my body was tensing, my veins were pulsing. I saw her as a curse, right? You gotta somehow give the message that he knew something was right. He saw her as a gift, but something wasn't right. I saw her as a curse, right? Like you're just starting to notch up the tension, and the dialogue has to reinforce that,
right,
over and over. Okay. Panel 3. Eydis sits in a large hot spring, seawater steaming around her. So this is later?
Yeah, I mean within moments. So since she's a fish, you gotta put her in the. A lot of times they would keep the fish alive. You know what I mean? So
okay.
You know what I mean? Like they couldn't immediately do fishing, filleting and preserving them yet. So they would have these pools where there would just be live fish in them, and then they would reach in and grab a live fish and then eat it. It's just for preservation of food.
Okay, so this is in the town center or in the village?
It's actually at Sigvald's longhouse.
Okay, but it doesn't say that, so let's put that in.
Okay.
Okay. You could say in front of Sigvald's longhouse. I just sit in a large hot spring. Maybe you want a hot spring pool. Maybe you want to make that clearer. Seawater steaming around her. She looks regal but unsettling. Her glowing green eyes watching. Okay, so you have the eyes are glowing now, watching Sigvald closely as he kneels nearby, speaking to her. Thorstein stands at a distance, watching from the shadow. That's just a little grammar there. Dialogue. Rest here, beloved Eydis. You are safe now. Thorstein, out loud. She doesn't belong here, Sigvald. Send her back to the sea. All right. So to me, you went from 0 to 60 here. I would make him like stutter or stammer. I don't think she belongs here, Sigvald. I mean, send her back to the sea is very forceful. Send her back. Maybe we should give her back to the sea, or mayhaps
It's not
she.
very Viking. It's not very Viking. I want them, so the idea of the characters is you got the old chieftain, and then you got the young companion, like a
Right.
nephew or a warrior or somebody that might even be in line to take over the chieftain point. So there's a strong identity for both of them to be strong, and strong-willed and minded
Well,
for that. So I'm inferring from the hot moment that they're not always going to agree. It's not always an agreeable thing. And, the moment they go out, they both know something's going to happen because the vulva said, something's going to happen. You're going to come back with something. And they both sort of made up their opinions. One was going to be like, oh shit, this is going to be awesome. And the other one's like, this is
I
going to
know
suck.
that. I know there might both be strong and aggressive and everything, but there was a hierarchy. There was always a hierarchy, and this says I was his sworn companion. So I would. He's he's saying she doesn't belong here, Sigvald. Send her back to the sea. It sounds like he's calling the shots. So
there is a revolt. There is something that will be unveiled. So
all right.
I'm going to keep it as is right now. Because he's not a subservient character.
Okay.
He's not. So.
Okay, so you got to indicate that, even if it's gradual. But she doesn't belong here, Sigvald. Send her back to the sea. You could make it like my recommendation, or you could say, I implore you.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because there it's kind of respectful. You're asking, not telling, but you're forceful at the same time. I implore you, send her back to the sea. Panel 4.
Yeah.
Close up of Eydis in the hot spring. Now, what about vulva? Does she come back?
No.
Okay, why not?
I don't. Well, let's just get to the end, and you'll.
Okay. Well, put a pin in that question.
I agree.
Because maybe you just want to, if she's not coming back, maybe you want to have a reference to her,
Yeah.
Why she's not back. Close up of Eydis in the hot spring. Her expression is calm but predatory, a faint smile playing on her lips as she watches the two men argue. Each man is reflected in each of her round fish-like eyes. Well, that would be a dash between fish-like. And that's good. Panel 5. Sigvald stands, dismissing Thorstein angrily. Eydis watches them with amusement, as if enjoying the conflict. What does it look like when you're dismissing him angrily? You're pointing in the direction that he's supposed to walk?
Yeah.
Okay. Dismissing Thorstein angrily, pointing him away, or we're indicating for him to get lost or whatever,
Yeah.
And then Eydis watches them with amusement, as if enjoying the conflict. So now you have to situate it where you can see her face and see both of their body language, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now we're on.
There's dialogue.
Well, why am I out of order? Oh, that was page 3. Okay, so dialogue, word balloons. Sigvald, enough. She is under my protection. Thorstein. And she's under my protection, Thorstein. No, do it the other way around. And Thorstein, enough. She is under my protection. Just move the
Okay.
Thorstein. Speak against her again, and you'll answer to me. Uh-huh. Yeah, and just in general, I think you should be running these through the ancient filter and seeing if you can get
Yeah.
some turns of phrases.
Ancient filter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thorstein, you're blind, Sigvald. She's no gift. She's a demon. Right now, this is just his feeling.
Yep.
Right. So I would say something like, "I feel it in my bones." Like, how does he know? How does he know anything?
He's a Viking.
Right, but the reader is not Viking. The reader needs to be spoon-fed.
Right.
So I would say something like that. Like I have a bad feeling. I feel it in my bones, or my second mind. Page 4, panel 1. Sigvald teaches Eydis to speak as she lounges in the hot spring. Her voice is melodic but unsettling. Sigvald leans forward eagerly while Thorstein observes from a distance, arms crossed. In the weeks that followed, Sigvald taught her the ways of men, but it was she who was seducing him. So I would say, she taught her the ways of men, but it was she who was seducing him. I would say manipulating him, seducing him a little more every day, something like that.
Ooh,
Because
yeah.
because when you have the but there, she should be doing something that he's doing. So he's trying to be a teacher or manipulate her, but it's she the one who is seducing him. Meat. Give Eydis meat. Ho, wee, woo. Hold on a second. He's teaching her to speak. How is that teaching her to speak?
Well, it's inferring that over the whatever maybe short period of time, you know, she's just calling out what it is. She's allowed herself to get caught. If that's kind of what has happened.
So she's asking him for meat?
Yep.
She eats meat? What kind of meat?
Flesh.
Of what? Pig?
Animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would say that.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I don't want her like. I mean, we could use. I don't want her. I want her saying like pig or horse or deer or cat or So that's why I just use meat and not flesh.
How about like if it said food, period, give Eydis food, period. Me want meat. Right? Like she's still crude, using the language crudely, but you're also explaining like it's not like an X-rated thing. Give me meat. It's in the food context here.
Okay.
Thorstein confronts Sigvald in the longhouse. Focus panel, larger than others. Thorstein slams his fist on. Okay, so I would write Thorstein confronts Sigvald in the longhouse, slamming his fist into the table. His face red with fury. Fine. I would say flush with fury because you don't have red in black and white comics. Sigvald, though graying, stands firm and defiant. Sigvald is dressing a deer, his hands covered with blood. Okay. He is dressing a deer, and dressing means you're taking all the organs and the guts out, right? You're just
Yep.
assuming everybody knows what that is. Okay. As long
Okay.
as everybody knows, you might have some
Well, no. I I can put an
You
explanation.
might have some city boys in there. Don't know what that is. He's dressing a deer? What kind of that?
Polka dots or stripes? Polka dots or stripes?
Metrosexual. Um,
Deer.
he's dressing a yeah. So you could say like filleting or de-gutting or whatever or a deer. His hands
I'll put an
covered with
explanation.
blood and he's got some kind of tools in his hands. I would imagine, right?
Yeah, knife. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
He's dressing a deer with a knife, or he is,
yeah.
removing the guts from a deer with a knife. Okay. Your demon will kill one day. Are you too blind to see this coming? I would write that demon of yours
Mm.
will kill one day. Are you too blind to see this coming? Sigvald, enough, Thorstein. If you speak another word, I'll cast you out of my fjord. If you so yeah, that's the last straw, right? This that's it. He doesn't want to hear it anymore. I've had enough.
Yeah.
I've had enough, Thorstein. And take out the if you. Speak another word. Yea, I will. I I shall cast you out of my. I don't know. I'm just thinking of the ancient words.
Yeah.
Cast you out of my fjord. Right. Like I was even considering like this is my fjord, right?
Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah.
being implied.
Yeah.
Um, enough, Thorstein. This is here we go. Enough, Thorstein. This is my fjord. Period. Speak another word, I'll cast you out.
All right.
Right, because they're starting to get into like some territorial like pissing
Yep.
war, right? Okay.
Yep.
Panel 3, Eydis watches from the shadows, her glowing eyes fixed on the two men. Her faint smile returns. So she's in the shadows. She's in water?
Yeah, like a yeah.
Okay. Is she still in the pool?
Yeah.
So there's shadows in the pool?
Well, they could be a covering of some sort. You know what I mean?
Right.
It could be also getting dark. It could also be getting dark at night. You know, that kind of thing.
I was just going to say, if there's like trees and there's like some kind of flora above,
Shadows
that needs to be
above.
early. That needs to be explained earlier on. Right? Is there like some shrubbery near the
I'm
hot?
thinking more nightfall. I'm thinking more nightfall. Kind of
Okay.
thing.
So I just
Because
watches.
it'll kind of keep the time moving.
Yeah. Well, you also yeah. So this is more of like a feeling that you want. So you could say I just watches as shadows fall.
Yeah.
You know.
Night falls. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right. From the shadows as night falls. That explains it.
Yeah.
Her
Yeah.
glowing eyes fixed on the two men. Her faint smile returns. Panel 4, split panel on diagonal. Left side of panel, Sigvald kneels beside Eydis, offering her a fresh slice of deer meat. Right side of panel, she devours it hungrily, her sharp teeth visible as she eats. Okay, when you say split panel, there's a dividing line in the middle?
Yeah. Yeah. Like this.
Yeah, right. Okay. Um, so that's just like showing you like the sequence. Her
Yeah.
hunger was insatiable, and Sigvald's love blinded him to the truth. Now, where's the narration box? On the left or the right? Or does it straddle the middle?
Bottom. It could run down underneath the middle.
Yeah, I would straddle the middle. That would give
Yeah.
you like a good kind of like bridge there. Page 5. 5 panels. Thorstein crouches beside the kennel outside Sigvald's long house. Was that there before?
Yeah, it's just a part of the estate.
Okay.
Longhouse, Viking Longhouse estate. Just another. It's another view of Sigvald's longhouse.
Okay, so you can say, in another view of Sigvald's longhouse, Thorstein crouches beside the kennel. What's the kennel exactly?
Like a chicken coop kind of like structure. You lock a dog up overnight, so.
Okay, so this is like an animal cage?
Yeah.
Okay, make that clear, because a kennel could be a building to some people,
Okay.
I would say Thorstein crouches beside the animal cages outside Sigvald's longhouse. Are they empty, or are there animals inside?
Right now it's empty because it just had the one dog.
Okay, the empty animal cages outside Sigvald's longhouse. He holds a leather collar that once belonged to Sigvald's prized hunting hound, a large wolfhound named Skull. The yard is empty, eerily quiet, with a faint mist rolling in from the fjord. All right. There's no way. I don't know if you cover this. No, you don't. You're not covering this, but there's no way to know that the collar once belonged to a prize hunting hound named Skull. That's just in the description for the artist.
Right.
So we got to move that.
Okay.
We'll either integrate that into the narration or the dialogue.
Okay.
I tried to forget the sickening events of the night before, but the next morning, when I went to take Skull, Sigvald's loyal wolfhound, for a walk. Here, boy, Skull, where have you gone? I held only his collar. Right? Now, we have no idea what the sickening events of the night before are, right?
Well, that was the argument. And him dressing a deer, feeding it to the mermaid.
Him what?
Sigvald dresses a deer to get the meat to feed to the mermaid.
Right. And
Eydis.
And Thorstein is now saying that was a sickening event?
To him, yeah. Because he's feeding. He believes she's a demon.
Right.
And so he's like, you're like feeding a demon. Like, why the hell would you do that? So it sickens him. Maybe the word sicken is not the right, not the right choice, but
I wanted to forget the distasteful event, or the distasteful exchange. Is he talking about the exchange, or the fact that he's feeding the
whole thing?
Demon.
The whole thing. It's the whole thing. The whole as an event. That whole evening and him watching and the argument and stuff, and then the girl eating it. The mermaid girl's eating it. It's just he's sick.
He's sick. I forget the distasteful argument and feeding of I've witnessed the night before. Okay. But the next morning, when I went to take Skull, Sigvald's loyal wolfhound, for a walk. Here, boy, Skull, where have you gone? I found only his collar. Maybe you want to break that up. So here he's speaking in one dialogue box, narration box, and then he's got a dialogue word balloon, and then add another narration box at the bottom that says ... I found only his collar. So 2 narration boxes and a dialogue box in between.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because then you could position them in an interesting way. Yeah. Panel 2, wide shot of the hot spring where Eydis resides. Thorstein stands on the rocky ledge. Now there's a rocky ledge there that we need to know about? So just slip that in when you first introduce the hot spring. There's a rocky ledge on the side, or maybe was Thorstein on the rocky ledge before on the first shot?
I think there is something that's for the pool
And
when
the
they
hot
bring her
spring,
to the
Thor,
pool.
um, yeah, you just don't want to spring this on the artist.
Right.
So she's in the hot spring here. Where is this?
Panel 3, page 3.
Right. Just make sure it's consistent. He sits at a large hot. So Thorstein stands at a. All right, but Sigvald kneels nearby, standing on an outcrop. Standing. What do you call it? The ledge.
Rocky ledge.
Standing on a rocky ledge. Okay, so now when we have the rocky ledge, we're used to it.
Cool.
Okay. Excuse me. So, horrified at the sight of Skull's lifeless, bloody body floating in the steaming water, the spring once tranquil, now feels foreboding. After an exhaustive search, I found Skull, or what was left of him. All right, and Eydis is not there.
No, she is there. She is there.
So he's looking at this dead dog in this little pool, and she's in the pool with him.
Yep.
Did she eat the dog?
Yep.
Okay, so then should the lifeless, bloody carcass sound better? And what is she doing? How do you describe what she's doing?
Just lounging.
So she should be maybe like reclining, satisfied, right? Looking satisfied at the at one of the side walls, right? Sitting in her hot tub.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Being fed meat.
Right. After an exhaustive search, I found Skull, or what was left of him. Verily. Odin preserve us. Sigvald, what has she done? Where's Sigvald in this?
He's just shouting it out.
Okay.
Like he would be in the, he'd be in the longhouse because he would not have known it yet.
Alright, so maybe you want to write, Odin preserve us. What has she done? I had to ask Sigvald, or do you just want to be clear that he's not there? If you're saying his name, you don't want to confuse anybody. Odin preserve us. What has she done? I had to ask Sigvald.
That's dialogue. That's
Right.
not narration. It's dialogue.
Oh, okay. So add narration. Just looking for clarity here. I would either
it's interesting. I could maybe another.
I would either take out the Sigvald.
Narration.
Yeah, take out the Sigvald in the word balloon. Either, and then you could add another narration box to say, I had to ask Sigvald. Panel 3. Close-up of Eydis in the hot spring. Her glowing green eyes locked on Thorstein. Her expression is calm, almost amused as she explains herself. Blood stains her lips and hands, making her appear both regal and monstrous. All right. There you might have a problem if you drew her before without the blood stains on her lips. So why don't you, in the description in the previous panel, say seaweed covers her hair, or her hair covers her expression. And now we can see a little more clearly. Panel 3, right, we can see clearly now. Blood stains her lips and hands, making her appear both regal and monstrous. And she says, Hungry for meat, it meat no. So she doesn't feel she did anything wrong.
Nope.
Do you want to say me hungry for meat?
No, I don't think it needs to be that
Okay.
explanative.
Oh,
She's still learning English.
how about it food? No, we don't.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Panel 4. Thorstein storms into Sigvald's longhouse, slamming the leather collar onto the table. Sigvald stands. So the leather collar, was that chained up, and that's why the dog
No,
didn't?
you bring the collar out for the dog, and it might have a lead on it.
Oh,
Might have
gotcha. Okay,
something to,
gotcha.
yeah, that kind of thing.
Oh, so then when it says there was only his collar was left behind, that he wasn't, was the dog was in the cage, but it didn't have the collar.
Correct.
You might just have to rectify that, because I thought we said the only thing left was the collar.
But he has it in his hands now.
Right, but it wasn't there when he was taken. So why would he say the only thing that was left there if he's just bringing it out? I had a collar, but no dog. Maybe he should say instead. Right, he's holding the collar, and we want to refer to the fact that it was supposed to be a dog that he's looking for, but there's no collar. So then, I mean, it could also be that the collar was left behind.
I'm not worried about it, to be honest with you. I'm not.
It's a very minor detail, yeah. Okay.
It is. So.
Okay, but he slams the collar onto the table. Sigvald stands defensively, gripping the edge of the table, while Eydis lurks in the shadows near the spring outside. Thorstein is furious, his face red with rage. Why do we need to see her in the shadows in the spring nearby? This might make it hard to design the.
It's true. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I could just take that out.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to hamstring the artist by doing that.
Yeah.
Sigvald, what's the matter now, Thorstein? Right. So that I'm sure you can get better words for that. What's the issue? What's the concern? What's the what furrows your brow? You know. What's the matter? This sea witch has just devoured your hound. I feel sick even looking at her. You must send her back to Ager's depths. Okay. Well, you're gonna redo all that dialogue. Medium shot of Sigvald and Thorstein arguing. Sigvald, though aged and graying, stands firm. His face is resolute, but his obsession with Eydis is clear. Thorstein looks incredulous, his arms outstretched in frustration. It is unfortunate, yes, but Eydis does not yet understand the ways of men. She will learn. She will yet learn. Thorstein, you've lost your senses, Sigvald. The sea demon has turned you into an old fool. I would take out older and put old. I've had enough. I'm leaving this madness. I've seen enough, I would write. And I have no other choice but to leave, or I can't remain amidst this madness. I cannot remain amidst this madness. Page 6, 5 panels. Close-up of Sigvald pointing aggressively at Thorstein, his face twisted with anger. Next, this is coming to a head, right?
Oh yeah. Down at the bottom, close up of Sigvald's pointing. Sigvald pointing aggressively at Thorstein.
Mm-hmm. The shadow of Eydis can be seen in the background, watching the argument escalate.
I think a silhouette.
Yeah, I mean, is this like through a window, or is it through the open door?
Yeah, it's doorway.
Okay, so I would say it can be seen through the open doorway, watching the argument escalate. Leave then, Thorstein. Leave before I tear you apart myself. How about like so be it instead of leave, so you don't repeat. So be it, Thorstein. Leave before I tear you apart myself. Panel 2. Thorstein is heading down to the waters of the fjord, preparing to board a small boat. He glances back toward the longhouse with a mix of anger and despair, the mist swirling around him. Despite my despair for Sigvald, there was nothing more I could do, but just as I was about to shove off, dialogue off panel, help, arg. Okay. You could say, I despaired deeply for Sigvald. Alas, there was nothing more I could do. Period. But just as I was about to shove off, but just as I was about to shove off, okay. Thorstein turns to see a young Viking warrior stumbling down the hill from the longhouse. Clutching a deep wound in his neck, blood streams down his tunic as he collapses, his face twisted in terror. All right, you can't be stumbling down the hill and collapsing at the same time.
Well, that's yeah.
As he
Bit excessive.
as he's stumbling down the hill from the blood streams. So you could say that he's stumbling down the hill, or he's tumbling.
Well, you can get rid of you can just get rid of he collapses and just jam. Blood streams down his tunic as his face is twisted in terror. That kind of thing.
It's one of Sigvald's men. Now the guy doesn't say any more arg or anything in this panel.
Yeah, I mean, we could add another.
Help me or
another. No, his throat's been ripped out.
Oh, but he said help a minute ago.
Yeah, and then he's bleeding out to death. That's where the collapse filled in there. You know what I mean? I was playing through my head, going,
yeah.
Oh,
well, I would just,
you know what I mean?
I would just continue with a gurgling sound or something.
Right.
And do you want to name the guy? It's Turco. Okay.
Nah.
Eydis is in the hot spring, holding another young warrior underwater with predatory strength. Her green eyes glow intensely as she drowns him, her grip unyielding. Thorstein rushes toward the scene, horrified, while Sigvald stands frozen on the rocky ledge. So Sigvald is standing right there?
Yeah.
Are his arms folded or by his side?
Yeah. Good question. Good question. No, he is in shock, so I can say that.
All right.
In shock.
So maybe his arms are out at his sides, and he stands in shock. Oh, so
yeah,
Sigvald stands frozen in shock on the rocky ledge.
Yeah.
His arms hanging useless at the sides, something like that.
Slack. Yeah.
Right.
He's slack.
Great God, she's killing him. And he's saying, Eydis, stop, please. Okay, I don't. Yeah, I beg you, or nah, I beseech you, or stop at once. What are you doing in God's name, in Odin's name? Just Eydis, stop, please. You got to just change that language, whatever.
Yeah.
Thorstein and Sigvald pull the young warrior's limp body from the water. So, what is she doing? Thorstein crouches
She just
beside.
backs away. She
Okay.
just backs away.
Thorstein crouches beside the body, devastated, while Sigvald stands over them, pale and shaken. Okay. Um. So Sigvald is not pulling the young warrior's limp body from the water. Thorstein is. Sigvald is
No, it's just
standing over them, pale and shaken. Right.
well, as a focus panel, they've come together. That's the whole idea is
Well,
to
you
show
have
the
you have
focus.
that he's standing over them, pale and shaken, and he's helping pull the body out.
But that was the page before. So as a page turn, you got a major focus page, focus panel, where then the two of them are working together to get the body out.
So you got to cross out while Sigvald stands over them, pale and shaken. Then.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yep.
Okay. We pulled him from the demon, but it was too late. You don't want to say demoness?
You can. Yep. And some S's. S.
Or you want to say sea demon, or I don't know.
No, that's good. Demoness is good. I like that.
He's gone, Sigvald. His neck is torn apart. She's killed him. That's kind of basic. I would say she's finished him off, or something like that. He's just so it isn't like so basic. I would also have him like. Well, okay, well, whatever. Thorstein and Sigvald argue inside the longhouse. Thorstein points an accusing finger at Sigvald, his face filled with fury. Again?
Mm-hmm.
So Sigvald leans against the table, looking conflicted but defensive. Eydis is nowhere to be seen. After burying the warriors, I followed Sigvald to his longhouse. I warned you, Sigvald, she's a killer, a creature of the deep. This is no longer your affair. This is murder. Sigvald, you don't understand. She is more than just a creature. She is my destiny. Right. I wouldn't say creature and creature in the same panel. I would say she's a killer, a shadow demon, or another word for
a devil from the deep.
a
That's the title of the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the title of the stories.
Right.
Bing! Comes all together now.
Right. This is no longer your affair, or it's his affair. He brought her there. This is no longer.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah.
I would say
you just go with this is murder.
Yeah, or you could say this has gone too far. This is murder.
Yeah.
You don't understand. She is more than a creature, more than just a creature. She is my destiny. Thorstein stands tall, his face resolute as he delivers an ultimatum from the doorway. Sigvald looks utterly defeated, clutching the edge of the table for support. If you don't banish her by dawn, I will return with the village, and I would say return with the villagers, and force her back to Aegir's realm myself. Make your choice, Sigvald. Good night. I would make that a separate word balloon. Good night. Right, purposely break that apart.
Yep.
Page 8, 5 panels. By the dim light of a dying candle, Thorstein finds the table set with grim purpose. A nearly emptied vial of poison lies beside a crumpled piece of parchment. The wax drips down the candlestick, its flame smoldering to its final breath. Yeah, this is like very descriptive, like writing, but it's only the artist is going to be reading it.
Yeah.
The room is heavy with silence, the weight of Sigvald's final act hanging in the air. That night when I arrived, worried for my friend and chief, I found his note waiting in eerie silence. Okay, we don't see Sigvald anywhere, right?
Nope.
Thorstein, her hunger will not stop. I will end this for all of us. Farewell, my friends. Sigvald. So I would say I've tried, but her hunger will not stop. Or I would say I realize her hunger will not stop. I now realize her hunger will not stop. And do you want to say I will fix this for all of us, or I will end this for all of us?
Yeah. I like end. I'll still make a note about fix.
Okay.
I might even stick it through the ancient filter.
Yeah. Panel 2. Thorstein takes Sigvald's long sword from the longhouse wall, his face filled with fury and grief. So it was hanging up on the wall?
Yeah. They was hung their weapons up on the wall.
Okay. And he's taking it down?
Easy grab. Yep.
Okay. So I would just say that takes Sigvald's longsword, which was hung on the wall, his face filled with fury and grief. You'll pay for this, Eydis. I'll kill you myself. So again, kill is just kind of basic. I'll
deal with you myself.
Right. I'll reckon with you. I'll deal with you. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Thorstein races to the pool, finding Sigvald floating lifelessly in the water, his arm bitten off where Eydis started to feed on him. No, Sigvald! Panel 4. So are we seeing her feeding on him, or this is all after?
Not yet. Keep reading, please.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thorstein approaches the pool for a better look, sword in hand. Eydis floats on her back serenely, her glowing eyes fixed on him. And there's no dialogue there?
Nope.
I think
it's like a somber, moody scene. It's just like two floating bodies in the pool.
Panel 4?
Yeah.
So she's floating on her back next to the body?
Yep.
All right, I would add that. She floats on her back serenely aside Sigvald's floating corpse, and her glowing eyes are fixed on Thorstein.
Yeah.
Make sure that's clear. Panel, and nobody's saying anything, right? Okay.
You got that, panel 3, you got that nose. Well, then you get the somber scene, just a big mood panel, and then the final.
Well, it should be a reaction panel. He's seen her like gloating and everything, floating and gloating. I would imagine there would be like a what in the, but
I see what you're going after.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Like I said, my mind's eye has it just a blank, like a panel, just a graphic image of just a somber.
Right. Well,
murder scene.
If you do that, you really want to accentuate her glowing eyes. Her glowing eyes are surrounded with darkness, right?
Yeah, something to that.
Her demonic glowing eyes fixed on him. I mean, I always love.
Go to panel 5.
Okay.
This is the last panel.
Close up of Sigvald's lifeless body floating in the water. Thorstein stares down at his old friend, realizing he's already dead. Two separate narration boxes. I never struck that blow, for Sigvald had accomplished in death what he could not bring himself to do in his life. His poisoned flesh had killed her just as surely as the vial of poison itself would have done on its own. So, okay, I get it. In panel 4, she's still alive and well, though, right?
No, she's dead. No, she's dead. She's eaten his arm, and his body's full of poison, so then it killed her.
Okay, so then in panel 4, you want to leave it in doubt for another second whether she's dead or alive, right?
I don't know. Do I? Like, do I need to add another panel in there?
Well, if the artist draws her as if she looks like she's alive, that might be confusing, right?
Well, I wouldn't want that. I mean, it says...
Right, you say her eyes... What does it say about her eyes?
Yeah, her eyes glowing, fixed on Thorstein.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you could say...
She's already dead, though.
You could say, the lifeless...
You could say her eyes...
Eydis floats on her back serenely next to Sigfrid's corpse, her eyes glowing fixed on, and right now, Thorstein is us, the viewer.
Yeah, so if that was me, I would make that panel 4, right before you find out the ending, that I would make it where her eyes are wide open, and
that's what it...
Well, really wide open and kind of like almost bulging, but looking right at him, and he has a moment of shock because she's staring right at him, but she doesn't realize.
He doesn't realize. I see how you're interpreting it. Okay.
Right. Well, the reader doesn't realize, but her eyes are wide open, but she's actually dead. And then, maybe you can make that clear in the next panel. Close up. Right. Sigvald's lifeless body floating in the water, and then you could say her head is in the shot too, and her eyes, even though they're wide open and bulging, she's clearly dead.
Right. Yes. All right.
I mean, that's really the big moment here, the very last panel, right?
Yeah.
So you want to have it, very carefully crafted so that she looks, that it transitions from the previous panel, eyes wide open, almost bulging, and staring right at the viewer, and then in the next panel, you see she's really just looking right past because she's gone.
Yeah, death stare.
There's nothing behind them. I would even say maybe in the narration, I saw then there was nothing behind. Well, let's see what you wrote. I never struck that blow, for Sigvald had accomplished in death what he could not bring himself to do in life. His poisoned flesh had killed her. Surely as the vial of poison. Right.
Yeah, because that just gives that explanation.
Just as surely. Yeah, I don't know if that you need the next half of that sentence. His poisoned flesh had killed her. That's his. Just as sure. I like just as surely, but then I don't know about as the vial of poison itself would have done on its own, because she could have been killed by a sword. She could have been killed. She could have been returned to the sea.
No, that's that whole gnawed off arm. So obviously he went into idea, the vision. Yeah, that he was going in knowing that he wanted to embrace her like a lover, because that's how he felt about her. But he knew that she was going to eat him. It was all eventual. Because Thorstein had said somebody's going to get killed, which is implying you're going to get yourself killed, brother. Like, what the hell, man? And then, bingo, Bob's your uncle. He just figured it out on his own, and it's like, well, I have made so many mistakes. I gotta do it myself. So he sacrifices to even get that last hopeful embrace with her. But she just like chomps right into his arm and starts gnawing on it. And then by the time the blood circulates through her body, it has poison in it.
Right.
Dead.
So I would say that his poison flesh had killed her. ... The final embrace he sought was
Okay. Cool.
was her devouring him. Right. He sought a final embrace.
Yep.
Only to be devoured.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
Final embrace he sought. What did you say again? The final embrace he sought.
Yes, his poison flesh had killed her.
Her. ... Final embrace he sought.
Was her devouring him.
Yeah. It was her devouring.
The final embrace he sought was really her devouring him. Yeah, we gotta play with that phrasing.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I'll kick it around a little bit, but I love that's beautiful.
Right.
Final embrace. He sought. Thank you.
He
that's
sought
that's worth $1 million.
Right. He sought a final embrace, but in truth, he knew he would be devoured. But in truth, he was being, devoured, body and soul.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And one of the things that I, once again, I got to thank you is because I suck at endings. Though I have been working on the ending first, process, and that's how this kind of thing came across, based on an old 1952 comic story that I just basically gleaned. But I wanted that. I love the ending. I just love the ending of that story. It's drawn and written poorly. Characters are all kind of like ham-fisted. But no, that ending, Jake, is worth $1 million there. That putting that nuance, the final embrace that he saw. That's $1 million. Man.
Yeah, if it's a good format, it's like every Chamber of Chills comic, every Twilight Zone, all that. The last panel has everything that you want to just put a bow on it.
So, look, I know we've gone over almost an hour and a half. I mean, an hour and 20 minutes. Once again, can't thank you enough. Just so people know, I'm working on a follow-up to CROM Collected. It's called CROM Anthology #1. I've been collecting a whole bunch of, crazy stuff as inspiration. Some of this material is going into the anthology as reprints as I start, hunting down the people who are responsible for the heirs, estates, and all that kind of legalese and everything. But I have a huge, call for collaborators. So the whole idea is that, like I said, this script, I'll make all the edits and post it as a PDF. Will be up on cromthebarbarian.com on a page in the navigation called Free Comic Scripts. And the whole idea is to really just get people involved on whatever level. And I do have people involved, and I'm super excited moving forward on these CROM projects. And I have 2 more comics in the works that are more CROM based. Experimenting with some storytelling is really kind of what I'm after right now on that. But I have nothing else because I'd like to go get some lunch. I'm starving. But I want to let you get going too. But thank you again, Jake. And I will see you next Sunday.
See you next Sunday, Kurt.